Let's say you agree to go to the prom with someone, and later on you tell your friends you'd rather go with someone else. What happens next? This is chapter 3, Loose Lips Sink Ships, in my book, Modern Fables. Modern Fables is a set of 51 short stories I wrote to illustrate some principles about character, values, and choice, dealing with the Williams family, somewhat like Aesop's fables. One of the aspects of being trustworthy is discretion, and discretion is the quality of being careful about what you say and what you do. Hey, Rick, who are you taking to the junior prom? Tess asked her older brother. Fran Donatelli. You've met her. We've gone to the movies a few times, and I like her a lot. Are you two serious about each other? "Mm, Not very, yet, but who knows what will happen in the future." Fran was Rick's classmate, smart, rather pretty, new to town, still making friends. Her family had moved in earlier that year, and Rick liked her. She was good to talk with, and she appreciated his sense of humor. She seemed pleased to have been invited to the prom by him. It didn't seem likely that someone else would be asking her. Rick brought the prom tickets early, spending much of the money he had earned from his part-time job. The tickets were not cheap, and he'd be renting a tuxedo and buying Fran a corsage. He knew Fran would likely also spend a lot of money on a fancy dress for the dance, although, being a doctor's daughter, it probably would be easier for her to come up with the money than for Rick. Rick asked Fran, and she was pleased to accept. But a couple of weeks before the prom, Rick learned that Fran had told a friend she would prefer to go with another classmate, Brian Mullins, a particularly good-looking guy, a popular athlete, in fact, a friend of Rick's. When Rick heard this, he was hurt. A day or two later, Rick called Fran and asked if she'd said what he'd heard, that she'd prefer to go to the prom with Brian. She was honest and admitted she had said it. Rick took a breath. "Well, I'm not taking you, so you're free to go with Brian if he asks you." It wasn't an easy decision. Rick didn't like letting anyone down. He'd already spent money he'd worked hard to earn, but he didn't want to spend the evening with someone who'd rather be there with someone else. He still had those tickets, though. He discussed it with Jane, the girlfriend of one of his buddies, Billy, a guy who was away in the Navy. Rick and Jane had always been good friends, but just friends. She wouldn't be going to the prom because Billy was now overseas. Rick and Jane agreed to go together, which was fine with Billy, and the two had a great time. Brian never did ask Fran to the prom, preferring to go with another girl, so Fran stayed home that night. Rick's parents were glad that he hadn't let Fran treat him with open disrespect. She should not have accepted the date, or she should have kept quiet about wanting to go with another guy. Sometimes silence is golden, Rick's mother commented. Mr. Williams added, "You know, Rick, during World War II, there was an expression that was widely used: loose lips sink ships. It meant that information like the sailing dates and the routes of troop ships and supply ships shouldn't be talked about for fear that the enemy agents would use the information to aid the Germans or Japanese we were fighting against." "Well, Dad," Rick said, "her loose lips sure sank Fran's prom." This is the third of 51 stories in my book, Modern Fables, Character Lessons and Life Skills for Success. And we plan to issue a new fable YouTube every Sunday. The images in this YouTube series are courtesy of PowerPoint and Copilot, and they're not in the print or book versions of Modern Fables.